So here's where the adult pheasants live. Let's go check it out. Here's our adult pheasants. There's our male. There's females right there. These guys are pretty neat. They're very cold hardy. They're not noisy. They'll stick around even. They got out this winter and actually came back and I caught them. I used some pheasant sounds to lure them back. Played it loudly from the computer. I brought in some natural logs and such. Got them held in place by some rebar. And they like to lay back in there. I made a lay box over here, but I'm thinking they really need a lot more like bushes and more like a thicket to be comfortable enough to go broody. They haven't done that yet. They should be pretty happy. They used to have these things on their noses, and one piece of plastic went straight through each nostril to hold it in place. But we took those off when we got these guys. That couldn't have been too comfortable. I believe it's so they wouldn't fight or peck each other's eyes out or something. But the pheasants are really neat. They're quiet. They're very cold hardy. They can dig through 2 feet of snow to forage. I've heard they can even swim if they have to. So they'll stay sort of in the area if they get out, if they're released. And besides that, they're really pretty birds, especially the males. And this guy, I call him Smokey. See if we get a male from those baby chicks, or pheaslings. If he has another male, we'll call him Little Smokey. Alright. Alright, I've been incubating some pheasant eggs. Here's our first little pheasling. He's less than a day old. We've got some food and water in with him, but we'll get a bigger water and put some marbles in there so they don't drown in their water. Got a temperature gauge down in this little brooder, and fabric on the bottom, not anything slippery. They can injure their legs. Now in here, this egg is almost done being cut around so this little pheasant can escape. Camera's not focusing too great on that. There you go. You can see that egg opening up. They sort of just scissor right through them like that. I'll keep you posted. Alright, what you're looking at here is a little pheasant almost out of his egg. We're on day 24 in the incubator. Alright, he's almost out, but you don't want to help him. I'm watching his head to make sure he doesn't dip his head in the water that's in the bottom of this incubator. And the way this is designed, they can actually stick their head through to the water underneath and drown. So we're keeping an eye on him. Alright, here we are all the way out. They need the struggle of getting through out of the shell. And if you mess with them, you can hurt the membrane. You can make them bleed to death and all sorts of complications. It's really challenging to not try and help him, but I'm just making sure he's safe. And then we'll put him over in the brooder. Kind of let him dry out in this incubator a little bit. Looks pretty good. They seem to like to sit on your hand for a while. I think they get some of your energy as well as the perfect warmth of your hand. But I'm glad the first one has a buddy now. In this brooder, we got some fabric, and they really like to sort of cuddle with something soft like that. This is the next batch of pheasant eggs that are going in the incubator. I write the date on them with a crayon. That way, when I'm adding some more fresh ones that are more viable, I'll know which ones to take out that are older. You want to store them with the pointy parabellum side down. They can keep for about a week. And storing them this way helps the air bubble develop in the larger side. Now, the air bubble is pretty important. You can see it on this one right here. If it's up high, that means that the humidity was way too high, and if it's way down low, then that means that there was low humidity. And this air bubble works like a diaphragm to relieve stress off of the egg, especially from temperature changes. And under a hen, she might get up to eat or drink a little bit, so that's important. And when they get out, they make a little hole, and you'll see that it's called a pip, and then they scissor out right along that diaphragm, the air bubble, and the position of them in the incubator is important so that the chick can get orientated properly so it doesn't pip in the wrong spot. If it's down low, they can hit some of the veins in the membrane and drown in the fluid. So humidity is very important for the air bubble, as well as positioning them in the incubator right so that the chick can orientate itself. You want to stop turning the eggs a couple days before they're going to hatch. And this is our automatic turning unit, and this thing just goes around and it hooks on this, and it turns them one way then the other. But they need to be turned several times a day. I've done it manually before. But we're at the end of the time period for these guys to still be viable. So I'm taking a tool like this, and I'm seeing what is in these eggs. Now, 2 of them, I could see something breathing in there, so I just left them. And then these 3 I wasn't sure. But if you look in this egg, once you make a hole, you can see that it's completely undeveloped. You can see the yolk in there, and it's held in place by that air bubble, by that membrane. So that's why you want to kind of poke a hole on this side to see what's going on in there. But you don't want to try and help the chicks out unless it's been way over 24 hours. But there's still 2 more alive in here, so I'm giving them some time. And here's our chicks over here. We've got 4 now. Then we have this one here. So same thing, scratch a little hole, there's the membrane. Push on the membrane. See if something pushes back. If there's no life, go ahead and look inside. But if it wasn't fertilized, you'll see the yolk on the other side of that air bubble membrane. This, look at how sucked in this is. This to me indicates that there's too high of humidity. And so what that does then is it dries up the fluid inside, and that's probably what did this little embryo in. So too much humidity. Well, my device that tells my temperature and humidity said I had too low of humidity. So you can always have a faulty humidity reading. And that's what happened to, it looks like, 3 of these 12 eggs because of the humidity. Alrighty. Another thing too, you can sort of tap on it and see if something moves in there. And if there is something that is alive in there, just leave it, give it 24 hours, and then what you can do is just crack the shell a little bit, like, whoops, that's too much. Crack the shell just a little bit going around. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to hurt this membrane. There's little veins on that membrane. The membrane's almost like part of the chick, and you can break blood vessels in the membrane and either drown it in fluid or create a situation where it loses too much blood. So you don't want to mess with the eggs unless they're way overdue. And so there's that. Let's move along. Here's this little guy, 5 minutes old. We'll put him in the brooder. But you got to keep an eye on him. The other ones will walk all over him, literally. Make sure you got the temperature right. If it's too hot, they will pant, so watch for that. Try to keep the other guys from walking on his face. But you want to have in your water bottle lots of little rocks and a few coins to draw their attention, to make them start pecking at it. The rocks shouldn't be too small. I've had them choke on them before. That was more with turkeys. But got our thermometer in there, and this little guy's determined to step on everybody's head or pick at him, like this guy's picking on him. So you got to keep an eye on him. Blow on him, distract them. But make sure they have the proper food, not medicated with these little birds. You know, it's a dosage issue. For quail, for sure, it will make them have liver failure to have medicated starter food. So not medicated, and set your water bottle up like that. We also put rags in the bottom, so it's not a slippery bottom. They can get spladle leg from that. So in a brooder, have a cloth bottom, non-medicated starter food, a water bottle so they can't drown. You got to keep an eye on your new chicks. The other ones want to stomp on him. Here's something you can do when you have a big age difference. We've got this super young baby in with these 3-day-olds, and they want to stomp on his head and pick his eyeballs and stuff because he's new looking. So I put him in this little netted enclosure. It's actually what you would breed guppies in a fish tank. So he's got a little screened in area now. So he should be safe from the crazy birds. Some of the little babies can be extremely active. On like the 2nd or 3rd day, these pheasants are like looking at ways to escape, starting to fly. Very different than chickens. Here's some adolescent bantams that were in this greenhouse, so they'd be warm enough. But this is our best incubator. This little bantam hen has raised all kinds of things, from quail to pheasants, chickens, turkey. So that's your best incubator for pheasants right there. Got some quail over here. I've made some good quail videos if you're interested in quail. And these guys are all kind of hanging out under the rabbit tree. Take advantage of the roof there. But I did a rabbitry update video if you want to check it out. And there's Pidgey. Little homing pigeon. We just took the mama chicken away. They were as big as her anyways. So they're looking for her a little bit. But you can see their mannerisms and the way they move. It's quite different than chickens. But we're going to put these in with the adults, but in a cage, so they'll get used to each other before they're actually combined. But these guys are pretty neat. Well, let's go check out the adult birds. Look how much everything has grown since that last video. And so have the pheasants. Let's go check them out. So here's everybody. There's the male. Now he's in here with 5 females. There's those 3. This one's dirt bathing. She's super tame. There's 2 of them that are super tame, and those are ones from the incubator. Want to put lots of hides for them. Integrating them can be challenging. And this one over here, that one's a real tame one as well. That one's real tame. This one, as you can see, is real tame. Sort of real tame. All of a sudden they'll decide not to be tame. But she's kind of getting frisky. 5 females and a male in here. I think this is a pretty nice setup and space for about that many birds. There'll be lots of eggs in the spring with 5 females laying. Each female lays 4 clutches of 20 eggs. But what I noticed was there's more consistent egg laying than clutches. So about 80 eggs a female, and there's 5 females. So we'll have some eggs coming this spring. But there's those guys. Let's go look at the males. Guy's a little freaked out from me grabbing him from in his cage, but this is little Smokey. As you can see, he's real hand tame. And he gets to be in the pheasant enclosure first. Got most of his feathers. The ring on his neck is just starting to come in. Got some nice green on his back. I don't know if you can see it. But my goal is to get him hand tame enough I could put him on my shoulder like a parrot. We'll see how we do. Give you a closer look at his feathers here. Alright, these are those pheasants that you saw as chicks underneath that little bantam chicken. We're out here in their enclosure, which is now finished. Put some branches in there. Got some different little hides for them if they're fighting. They still got this bottom enclosure to go in if the weather's bad, and I covered that with mylar. So at least two sides are quite insulated. But there's the 4 males and their finished enclosure. Give you a look at the outside of that. Alright, I hope you enjoyed our pheasant video.